Under this computer. So thanks for joining us today. This is a collaboration presentation with the Center for International Education here at the College of Charleston and API, which is one of our long-standing affiliate partners. So it's a nice small group. If we can do quick introductions, and then we do have a brief presentation. Again, brief, so we want to give an opportunity for y'all to ask any questions of either myself or Laura or Professor Gomez. So real quick, I am an associate director here in the Center for International Education, and my primary advising portfolio is working with students who want to participate in one of our affiliate programs. As I mentioned, API is represented today, and they've been a great partner in kind of creating this opportunity for students to do a virtual summer internship fully in Spanish. So we're very grateful for Laura and her colleagues and their hard work, and for Professor Gomez and really shepherding this for our students and receiving Spanish credit. So Laura, if you want to do a quick introduction, and then Mike as well, and then I'll flip to the presentation.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Bahamonde, and I'm the internship manager for API, the program manager for API. I've been working with internships for over a year now in the virtual space, and we have our internship alums for our internship program in virtual API. We have Bree and Alexandra joining us. They're both doing internships, or they've completed internships with API during their programs. They did something related exclusively to Spanish, and they're going to share their thoughts, and we're going to have some questions for them as well.
Great, thanks for being here, guys. Mike, do you want to do a quick introduction?
Sure, I'll introduce myself really briefly. My name is Mike Gomez. I'm chair and professor of Hispanic Studies, and I'm really excited about this program because, in the short term, it's something which fills a gap, which left by that void of those study abroad programs which have dried up. But looking, past that, it's something which is going to allow people to fulfill. Before we had internships, but they were very sporadic. Now we have access to a worldwide network on a regular basis, and people, if they want, can get credit for this. And who knows, in the future, it might even be part of that sort of, if we had an abroad requisite requirement, this might satisfy it. So I'm very excited about it. I'm excited that Riley is thinking about participating.
Yes, great. Thank you. And I'm really excited to hear from Alexandra and Bree. So thank you so much. And I know Riley too, that's going to be very beneficial for him. So we'll just jump into a little bit of the kind of nitty gritty real quick. I know Riley is familiar with a lot of this. So just talking about the benefits of a virtual internship. So we actually have our first CofC student who is participating in a virtual internship with another affiliate partner this spring. So some of the things, that we talked about is those skills gained, digital literacy becoming more and more important as we're working remotely. So much of the workforce is doing that these last 12 months, the independence, time management, probably not maybe your first choice in, having it virtual, but there is that benefit of the sustainability and how we're helping the environment and carbon footprints. Certainly cost effective, that's certainly tied in with that. And again, one of the great benefits is that accessibility to students who maybe aren't able to have for financial reasons an on-site experience, but allowing for those international connections through the virtual internship platform. Gaining transferable and really industry-specific skills, so something that you can build for your resume. And again, having that international component just kind of raises, that level of your experience that you can talk about in those interviews and on your resume. The ability for opportunities for project-based work, so very kind of meaningful, intentional work. And then the opportunity to gain the confidence in, setting your own schedule and creating that independent work, maybe not having as much oversight as you would in a more formal workplace setting. So again, really, encouraging students to think about, and this is certainly not an exhaustive list, but lots of benefits and some key ones listed here.
Sarah, could I just really quickly just jump into that? And it's just to develop one thing you said on that list is that this allows students to marry if they're doing, studies in biology or studies in data science. It allows them not just to have these two parallel sets, but to marry the one to the other, to actually put them into practical, and that to me is one of the biggest benefits, right? That they are, it's not just in the abstract, it's that you have the Spanish, you're in this context, and you're doing the work. So I just wanted, and you said it, but I just wanted to reiterate it and emphasize it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Glad you did. Thank you. So, we have an application. I'm going to go through this real quick. But for anybody future be listening, we have that application with CofC and via TRM. That's our application portal. API has confirmed that they're going to be offering this 3-credit virtual internship course for the fall. So that deadline is April 1. And this course has already been approved. So it's, an internship, but we're treating it as a course and receiving 401 credit. So our students, because of that intensive nature of the language, would need to have completed 313 and either 314, 312, or 328, plus 2 additional 300 level courses that would, bring them up to the language level they need to be successful. And then CofC's transfer credit policy requires that students earn the equivalent of a C or better. You'll get a transcript from the Universidad Congreso, and you'll receive transfer credits only, so it will show up as SPAN 401, but those grades won't impact your CofC GPA. And then in whatever term students would participate in this program, there'd be a study abroad fee, and we'd have a registration indicating that they're doing this international experience, and we're anticipating transfer credit. And yep, that's the kind of nuts and bolts of it on the CofC side. So I'll turn it over to Laura and our alumni.
Thank you, Sarah. So a little overview about international internships. Virtual internships are a great way to complete that requirement, mostly because you get to network with other people in other countries. You get to learn about their culture as well while you're completing an internship for the comfort of your home. I know one of the things that we always think of when we work on from home, we think that we're going to be only working in projects and programs, but I'm going to share with you some more information about, for example, our badge program that includes cultural events and activities, and our alums are going to talk a little bit more about that. So the program overview, the cost for the internship will be $1,650, and then an additional cost of $600 for the credits, the 3 credits from our Universidad Congreso. The program dates for summer 2 are June 28th to August 20th, and the deadline is April 1st. But if you have any questions, if you would like to, let's say you start your application and you need a little extension, I'll be happy to work with you on a case by case. I've had students who are planning little by little. I know Riley, for example, has his interview coming up next week. And some of the requirements are the resume or your CV, your cover letter, preferably in Spanish. It doesn't have to be in Spanish, but it's preferred to have some information that kind of lets the employer know that you are comfortable speaking Spanish and having your resume and your cover letter in Spanish. If you have any questions, Professor Mike or I or Sarah will be happy to work with you on that. Letter of recommendations, they don't have to be in Spanish. An interest form from API, which basically kind of goes over what you would like to do for your internship, what goals you have, or the industry that you would like to work on. Like Professor Mike said, if we have, for example, a student who's doing something in biology and is also wanting to apply their Spanish minor to the program, they can certainly work on those programs. It would be a project-based or research-based internship. And then an interview with me where we will go over the goals, expectations from the program, and you will know a little bit more about what will come next, what the next steps are. So here are some sample industries that students can expect to find internships on. I know it looks very large, and sometimes it looks like might not be a comprehensive list. Just please know that I encourage you to reach out to us and let us know if you have any questions, if you have something that might not be listed here. In the past, we've had students with very specific requirements, and we've been able to find internships for them. Just keep in mind that I'm listing not only the industries, but also the location where we most likely will find internships for you. For example, in accounting and finance, Argentina and Spain are very popular. That doesn't mean that Costa Rica or Chile are not available. We'll find internships for you in locations where we have offices, where we have resident directors that will work with you and will teach you about the culture of the location. And also they will do regular check-ins with you in Spanish to make sure that if you have any questions, they can address it in a timely manner. If you have, let's say you have questions with your supervisor, you don't know how to address something because you're feeling either too overwhelmed with work or you feel like you could invest more time in, you have too little activities, too little to work on, and you want to take on more responsibilities, they will be able to work with you and address those questions and how to communicate with your supervisor. Same thing if you need some time off because you're sick or anything, they're a great resource at all points. And something that I do want to highlight is all students who are completed an internship with API, a virtual internship, will have access to the Global Workplace Communication Badge. Bree was probably one of the first in the group to try it, and I know Alexandra is working on hers right now. And you have 8 modules that you'll be working on throughout your internship. The first module is orientation, and you'll learn a little bit more about yourself. You're gonna learn about goal setting and what your internship is about. And then you have time management, where you watch a video, you learn about how to set goals, you have how to set time management goals. You also do a little reflection on what your how you set up your time management, your goals. For example, if you do a list, or if you prefer to just prioritize your tasks in the morning, the day before. Same thing with communication and different modules as you work throughout your internship. The really cool thing about the badge is that you can showcase it in your LinkedIn profile. I know Bree has it in her profile, and you can see what skills she worked on during her internship. It is included in the program cost, so it comes at no additional cost for students who are interested in completing a virtual internship with us. And I know professors and us, we usually tend to tell students that your GPA is really important, but employers are also looking for skills. So it is a great way to showcase what you learned while you were completing your internship. And then we have some questions for Bree and Alexandra. So Bree first completed her program with API in summer 2020. She worked with an NGO in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And Alexandra is currently working on her program with API with a company in Spain, in Barcelona. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, so I was wondering if Bree, you could tell us a little bit about your experience with your internship. And I know that we highlight to students that they work during US business hours, but sometimes students feel better hearing from a peer rather than hearing from us.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, so my name's Bree. So I worked over the past summer 2020 with a environmental NGO based in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and the focus was on creating a more sustainable Argentina overall. And one thing that I'll say with doing the study abroad in general was that so many of the skills and things that I wanted to gain from studying abroad, I was still able to gain from being in a virtual space. So for example, with this organization, they didn't speak great English, so it was primarily in Spanish. And at first I was a little scared about that and didn't know how I might, acclimate to that environment where it's just all Spanish, but it greatly improved my Spanish speaking skills, especially because, me and my supervisor had regular check-ins and we talk about things that were going on in the news and politics. And it was nice to kind of get that overall experience and practice with talking in Spanish. That was great. It was also nice to be able to have also weekly meetings with the kind of like coordinator. I forget, Jimena was her name, and she helped with we, for example, had presentations about popular Argentine foods, and we watched a movie together and had like a discussion about it. So we're still getting that cultural immersion in addition to the things that I was learning from being with my NGO, and specifically with Amardia, that's the name of the NGO I worked with. I did a lot of translation work, so translating their program brochures or other items into Spanish, from English to Spanish or vice versa. They also had a couple of classes that they were teaching, and I helped them with so just like proofreading the material that was in English, for example. Yeah, just helping to make sure, you know, communication was good if the presentation was in English, for example. Yeah.
Bria, can I ask a quick question? So obviously you got that language proficiency by having to deal, even though you weren't comfortable, which is the only way you learn a language. You have to make yourself uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
you know, what was the other, what other things did you get out sort of professionally as you look, you know, to the experience? I mean, you were in contact with language. What else did you get out of out of that process that was of value to you?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely say a huge thing was time management. Because even though I had regular check-ins with my supervisor, for the most part, she would give me tasks at our regular check-ins, and then by our next check-in, I would need to have those tasks done. And it could be really easy to say, oh, I have 4 days before our next check-in. I'm just gonna like leave it off. So I think what was really important for me was getting those skills for time management. I think also a little bit of problem solving as well, just because, you know, the person is not right next to you. So if I have an immediate issue, I can't turn around and be like, oh, hey, I'm having trouble with this. So there was definitely much more independence, and like, especially with problem solving that happened on my end as well. Yeah, and I also think just getting through, maybe this is also with problem solving and also flexibility. A lot of the material that I was translating was very technical, agro, you know, forestry and new ecological terms that like even in English I would have hard times understanding. So I definitely did a lot of research and independent study as well, and background.
Yeah, that's really, and I'll be quiet, I'm sorry, but that to me is gold when you get that technical, so that vocabulary, how to deal in a context. If you're a lawyer, you need to know certain terms. If you're a doctor, you have to know how to speak and communicate, and that's great to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
Bree, can I know we want to hear from Alexandra too, but Bree, can I ask you any, you know, kind of challenges that you had, or, you know, where you hit those kind of cultural differences in the kind of that workspace, you know, that was in the virtual environment?
Yeah, all of it was kind of new. So with the virtual environment, I was at first a little bit, I guess, interested, or I think it was interesting how it felt like the deadlines and the workplace culture was a little bit more relaxed, maybe. My supervisor was very good about saying, you know, oh, you can get this to me by our next check-in, or, you know, if a little bit later if you're really busy. So that was really helpful, but it was also new because I didn't go into that space. I didn't know if they would be stricter. I didn't know if there were certain things that they would do or say that I wouldn't know what to do. And also the supervisor I was working with was pretty young, so just a couple years older than me. So I didn't know about, for example, formalities and how I should address her, but we pretty much went on first name basis. Yeah, so I don't know if other than that I have any other specific examples, but it definitely was interesting because, like I said, we would talk about politics and different things in our check-ins that I always was like, oh, I don't know if this is appropriate to bring up, but, you know, I always think it's good to ask if this is appropriate and like, can I do this? And that always was super helpful because I don't know the culture that well, so yeah.
Great. Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing.
Of course.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Alexandra Castro-John. I'm from Panama. I am in Clemson University. I'm currently majoring in marketing, and well, I'm currently doing my internship with API back in Barcelona. And well, in my opinion, I think I've done 2 internships, and this has been by far the best one. First, because my native language is Spanish, and it was, of course, very nice when I met my employer that we both speak Spanish, and it was just very welcoming, very warm. And also because I've learned things that I wasn't expecting to learn, like, for example, empathy. I came from Panama, and first here in Clemson, people do like things differently. And I had to adapt. I had like a difficult time like adapting with that, and like the English. And I know that for some students, like for me, speaking English is for others speaking Spanish. And I just feel that being exposed to this type of experiences, like this internship, I think as Michael said, the best way to learn, specifically a language. And and yeah, just exposing like being in a Spanish environment helps you to learn, for example, to adapt to other cultures, to improve your language. And I know I've been, I think, 3 months now in the internship, and I feel that I've like grown so much as a person and as well as in the workplace, because just I sometimes I feel a little bit intimidated, speaking with employers and like supervisors and that. But this like Laura has helped me so much, clear my doubts, and just all the modules that helps you to like cope with differences has just helped me a lot.
Can you share a little bit about what you're working on in your projects or your tasks?
Yes, so right now I'm doing like market analysis in different Latin American countries. I am looking for universities, high schools, and just like organizations for the university to establish like a partnership and just like promote the university to those countries. And also I'm working with other interns I think in Belgium. We are helping each other to just in our project, in our research and our task and everything. We just like exchange information, and yeah, it's pretty fun.
That's really cool. So you're working with people, obviously you're from Panama. The language obviously is your native language, but you're interacting. The Spanish culture is not the Panamanian culture, right? Which is not the Argentine culture. So you're interacting on this global level and learning to deal with people in broader context. I was going to say something else, but the hour is late. But no, it was the idea of being uncomfortable and dealing in these contexts, and how do you deal with employers? I mean, everyone's uncomfortable with that. But the difference is when you come out of that. I mean, I'm uncomfortable with that. But when you get that chance to have a jump on someone else, right? You're coming out of your college career having done that. So that seems to be that's great to hear. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, the Panamanian, like the Spanish is the same, but for example, one thing that it wasn't an issue, but something that I had to adapt was that they're in Spain, they're very on time, and they're a little bit known to be a little late. And whenever I got to the meetings and that, they were like 10 minutes late, and I just learned how to like deal with those differences. And it's just great, at the end of the day, that I feel that at the end of the day, or at the end of your career and everything, you at some point, the world is more connected than ever, and at some point you're gonna interact with someone with other cultures, with like these type of differences in the workplace. And I just think that this opportunity, although it is only like 4 months, or I don't know how long it is, it's just like very unique and just very helpful.
I don't want to put Riley on the spot, but Riley's about to enter this wonderful world potentially of internships. And if you have any questions, Riley, if you don't, you can always, you don't need to, but it's a perfect opportunity if you do have any questions. So
Yeah, so far everything has been laid out very clear for me about the objectives and what someone is set out to accomplish from this. And that's something that makes me look really forward to this opportunity is this I haven't had many questions because it's all been very clear to me from the beginning of how to get on that process, what I'm going to work towards and what I'm going to acquire from this experience moving forward. So this has been a great fill-in to kind of get an idea of course, my area of study will be somewhat different as I'm in a communication-based or international studies-based internship, but it kind of gave me that fill-in of what to expect, what to be assigned, how these check-ins are going to work, and just kind of that basis of operations. So not so much having questions, but it has been very informative to learn these extra steps and this little insight from people that have taken this experience.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say about communication as well, I think my awareness of non-verbal communication skills really increased, because even when you're maybe speaking the same language, people will say something and you just will not understand what they mean by that. And especially with my supervisor in Spanish, I had said something and she seemed to completely not misunderstand, but her responses, I was like, oh, that's not what I meant exactly. So I think nonverbal cues are also really important as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, I was going to ask for you, Bree and Alexandra, to share kind of, some 1 or 2 tips you think moving forward for Riley that would be successful for him this summer. Any suggestions? What was unexpected for him to think about?
I think, a tip would be just to be open-minded, because it sometimes can be a little frustrating when, as Bree was saying, when they don't understand you, or that it's just, having patience and just having a good communication with your employer, because he's gonna help you a lot, and he's just very open to, he wants you to learn, and just make the most of it.
Yeah, for me, one thing I would say is ask questions. So I was primarily just working with really just one person in a much bigger organization, especially with the virtual internship, you might not be able to see all the things that are going on. So I really enjoyed asking questions about other things that she was working on, and other things that people in the organization were also working on, just to get a more sort of broader understanding and a more holistic view of what exactly is going on in the organization. So I thought that was really important. So you kind of understand how you're fitting into the mission and vision of the organization. Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big one.
So maybe if I can talk a little bit about the placement process and how that communication comes in and during the internship, the application and the placement process. So after you complete the interview with me, we start looking for a placement for you. It can take up to 8 weeks. We try to, of course, find something that is customized to what your goals are and what your expectations are from this internship. During that time, we reach out to different supervisors, and something that both students mentioned is they are agreeing to hosting you. They are interested in you growing as a student, in you growing in your career goals and your skills that you'll be working on. So they will be open to communication with you from the beginning. I would say probably half the time you'll have to do an interview before your offer letter comes in, but the majority of the time they want to meet you after, because they already know that you've been vetted by API, by your school, you're a great candidate, and they want to move forward with their placement. When they meet with you, they want to talk about projects. So that's when I tell students, ask questions. You have already done the legwork. You have done everything that you needed from your resume, your cover letter, have your letters of recommendation, everything you need. They just want to get to know you as a student and get to know you as a worker, what you would like to get out of it and what your goals are during the internship process, which is 8 weeks. And you'll have regular check-ins, not only with your supervisor, but also with your global guide and internship directors in API. So you'll have a lot of support from API. You'll have support from your supervisor, like Brie mentioned, and I think Alexandra, you have the same global guide, which is Jimena from Argentina. You'll have activities, cultural activities that you'll work on, Like I remember with Brie, we had a cooking lesson. We learned how to make Argentinian food. And sometimes you can have something like comparative analysis of what graffiti is in Germany and what it is in Chile. In Chile, it might be more of an art expression. In Germany, it might be more of a political expression. So you have that those cultural activities that will add on to your program. And it's really a very interesting adventure because it's something that we probably didn't think of 3, 5, 4 years ago, but now it's at your fingertips. So take advantage of it.
Great. Well, I think we've covered a lot and hit the highlights and the nuts and bolts of it as well. I appreciate so much for Bree and Alexandra coming. Any last kind of thoughts or questions from anybody before we wrap up for today?
I think I would just mention the global badges. In addition to having them, in my LinkedIn profile, I also put them as my email signature, and that definitely gets a lot of interest from potential employers and other internship sites. So definitely I would encourage getting those global badges just because they're a really easy and quick way for your employer to kind of see the things that you've been working on. And especially in this time of, our global pandemic, I think it says a lot that you're still trying to like gain that global exposure and how you're not going to let like a global pandemic, which is a huge thing, but like you'll still, despite the global pandemic, you still want to, be learning about other cultures and expanding your language skills as well. So I definitely think the global badge is a great way to highlight that. Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Bree, what's your home institution? What school do you go
Oh,
to?
so I don't know if you can see, this is the Great Shenandoah Valley. I go to Washington and Lee University.
Oh, okay. I thought it looked like part of the AT. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, so I'm a junior. I don't know if I said this. I'm a double major in environmental studies and Spanish with a minor in our poverty studies program.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I just want to thank all of you for coming. So it's 6 past 6 on I guess it's a Wednesday. The days blur together, but thank you so much